Hey everyone, it's Adam with Stand Rod Welding. Last week we did a video where we basically recreated the Thayer multi-tool and we put it online, and we got a lot of positive feedback for it, and we got some orders in and we're mass producing those tools now. And there was a point in that video where I said we were going to sandblast them so we could season them, and we have a Harbor Freight cabinet and it's really slow, and it's slow because, well, they just don't come from Harbor Freight working very well. So often when you're running a small business and you're building a business from the ground up, you'll find yourself in situations like this where it's a project within a project. So right now our project is to fill these Thayer multi-tool orders. However, we have them all cut and we have them cleaned up and machined, but we can't sandblast them. And we can't sandblast them until we figure out how to get that cabinet working correctly. So I'm doing some research on it and I have a couple ideas. The big problem is it doesn't have media flow. So we're going to be pursuing that today. I pursued it a little bit yesterday and got pretty frustrated with it, and I was interrupted all throughout the day, so I couldn't really get a lot done on it. But today it seems like it's been a lot calmer of a day, and so we're going to start working on it, and hopefully we can have it solved by the end of the day, so that way we can get these orders out to you guys. So it's kind of important to understand how these guns work. This is the gun. You have your air coming in through here. Your nozzle is on here. I have it taken off right now because I've been troubleshooting. But basically your high pressure air comes through this gun. You know, you control it with your trigger, and it comes out. And the passage of air over this inlet creates a vacuum on this hose, and this hose sucks up media. And it's called the Venturi effect, or something like that. Anyway, this is the siphon that comes with these, and this is a piece of junk according to the internet. So this is just a tube right here that sucks it straight up. A lot of people said to put this little breather on, you know, drill a hole from here to here and let it have a breather so it can suck up air and media at the same time. A lot of people said no. I've tried it with and without this. I did this modification a few years ago and it helped it, don't get me wrong, but it's still not great. So what a lot of people do is they get rid of this entire thing and they build a metering valve. So I'm going to go run to the hardware store and buy everything and build an exact metering valve identical to what the internet says, and we'll give it a go. Okay, if you're wondering what a metering valve is, this is it. This is what the internet told me to build. You punch a hole in this little trap door here for your media to fall down, and it comes down through here and it gets sucked up through here. You put a little control valve right here, and that controls the flow of air. So you should be able to control your air media mixture as it comes up this hose all the way to your gun. So we're going to get this hooked up and give it a try and see how well it works. Alright, we pulled this thing off. I just got all the sand out of it. I couldn't get this to work at all. I just pulled the little valve off, I pulled the gun off, I just pulled this door straight off. It seemed like the problem was, so when I pulled this valve off, I tried it both open and closed. It was just packed full of media, and especially through here, it seemed like all the media, you know, I put probably 5 pounds in, and it goes through the whole funnel, and it comes down in here, and it just stacks up in here. This is supposed to be a little plug for easy draining, I guess, although you can just, this has a little twist handle, and you can just twist it, and this whole thing will swivel and dump your sand. Anyway, it doesn't matter. All this would stack up with sand and pack in, and it seemed like this couldn't pull any of that packed sand. Like there was no flow of media. And with this valve open, it seemed like it would just suck air through that valve, and it couldn't really collect any of this media because it was just all packed here. It was like a wall of media right here. So we gotta get more flow from here. It doesn't want to make this turn, and it's just stacked up right here, and it's got some in the hopper, and this is not conducive to flow. We got to get some flow going through here. So I'm going to run back to the hardware store. I have another idea. We're going to put it together, see how well that works. I'll be back. Okay, this is attempt number 2 at the metering valve. By the way, this is not scripted. This is, I have no idea how this turns out. So this may be really, really dumb and a waste of time and parts, but I'm filming my day. Anyway, I wanted to kind of give it a slope. If I had my way, I'd put a Y right here, and like a 1-inch Y. It's kind of what I had envisioned, but my hardware store didn't have one, and this is kind of just what I wanted, how I tried to make it work. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run I have 2 air compressors, one for the plasma and the sandblast cabinet that's high output, mostly for the plasma cutter. But I have another air compressor indoors that's for the powder coat gun, and it's a smaller 110 air compressor. I'm pretty sure it's Harbor Freight too. But what I'm planning on doing is just putting 20 psi to this, and I got a little valve where I can kind of control it. I think I'm going to regulate the air compressor out to 20 and see if I can't push air through this T straight into this hose, straight up to the gun, and let the media fall down. The other thing I'm going to do is I think I'm only going to put enough media in to fill it up to the top here. That way, as soon as this media here at the bottom begins to flow, all this media is flowing too, and there's not a whole bunch of weight in the hopper stacked down on this. So I'm gonna go throw it in. I was kind of worried once I got it assembled if it was gonna be long enough or not, but or too long to hit the floor, but I still got plenty of clearance, so we'll hook it up and we'll see how that one goes. Update time. The first thing that happened was so I tried to replace the tip on this, and the little cup right here ended up breaking off, and it's pretty stripped and it's cracked, and wherever the crack is, this GoPro doesn't seem like it wants to zoom very well. Anyway, there's a crack right there, and this gun is stripped. So I wasn't able to test it with this gun. However, because I've been doing this for more than a minute, I had a spare gun from an old cabinet that we bought off Marketplace many moons ago. It's this Speed Air right here, and so we were able to test with this, and it worked better. I had to redo the fitting on the bottom. The only thing is now this hose that goes into this gun is too big, which is fine. I'm going to pull this gun off, and I'm going to just run back to the hardware store and get another hose, which is actually fine. But I think I'd rather like a smaller hose better anyway. It'd just be easier to move this thing around in here. But I wanted to show you guys this. I don't know if you can see down in there, but this is 2 good paint cups worth of media, and there's currently air going to the bottom of this, but not the main air supply, obviously going to the gun. So a lot of guys will tell you if you're having trouble with these, you can burp the system, meaning you cover up the gun nozzle with your hand and you pull the trigger and it pushes air back through this hose to kind of like clear out any clogs in the system. There's no need to do that with this. For those of you familiar with powder coating, they call this like bubbling, and this is what you want to see in like your powder coat hoppers, and it's what helps powder coat get sucked up in powder coat hoppers, is this bubbling effect right here. But this gun also creates a lot more vacuum. I can actually feel this one's vacuum with my finger. So this is kind of cool because it'll sit there and it'll bubble and it'll keep that all that piping down below from clogging up when you're not using it, and it's not coming out of your gun. But when you do demand that vacuum, all of that bubbling in there goes away, and it is completely charging that whole system. And we were actually able, even with a very loose fitting on that barb, I was able to blast the whole face of one of these Thayer Tools in probably about a minute, minute and a half. So I think once we replace this hose with the Prepper fitting hose, we're going to be, I think we're going to be in business on these. The time's about 1 o'clock right now. I haven't ate yet. The wife is home sick, so I think I'm going to run to the hardware store for the 3rd time today, get another hose, go pick up some food and go feed the family, and then I'll be back for another update. Alright, so we got 2 of them cleaned up. The first one was kind of our honeymoon phase where we were just enjoying being able to get mill scale off. The second one, we did a lot of testing, and I wanted to know if the amount of air affected it. I want to know the amount of valve openness on the bottom, if that affected it. I wanted to know how much media, if that affected it at all. So what I found is you could get away with like 4 good paint scoop buckets of media, you know, paint mixing buckets, so about 4 pints worth, and about 20 psi going into the bottom of this thing was about perfect to get it to bubble on the inside, but not necessarily as soon as the trigger was pulled it would go up through the tube. What you don't want is too much pressure, because then this will not pull it at all, and you'll have no media or not enough or too much air. So anyway, I'm pretty happy with how these turned out. These are ready to be seasoned. If you don't know what these things are, it's a Thayer multi-tool. You ought to go watch my video on making these Thayer multi-tools because they are cool. If you do a lot of cast iron or Dutch oven work, you need one of these. Go to my Etsy store and punch in Thayer replica tool or even Thayer replica, and these will come up. But if you go search my video on making these, then we can show you how it works and what all these different things are for. But anyway, I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. I haven't seen anyone do it this way with a 45 and a Y. You know, they're all the ones I have seen are just a 90, and I haven't seen anyone put air to the bottom of this and run 2 compressors. Admittedly, it is loud. Between the outside air compressor, the powder coat compressor to put air into the bottom of this, and the vacuum, it is extremely loud in here when you have this thing running. But we are, I can't film blasting these because the window's pretty foggy. I've already tried a couple times, but okay, all 6 of these are done. We're super happy with how they turned out. It took me about as long to do 4 of them as it did for me to do the very first one in the first prototyping video. Bye, bagels. I wanted to share with you guys the last settings that I used. I had this thought when I was doing the 3rd one. It does me no good. Well, I guess the question was, is it better for the air to be coming through the bottom there and making the sand boil so it can be more easily picked up and so it can flow through the machine better? Or would I rather have it go straight through that bottom there into my hose and have it constantly pushing, you know, up into the hose and out the gun? I think I like the second one better. I think I want all the air going into the hose. I don't want it coming out of the bottom here. So what I did is I dumped my entire Harbor Freight bucket of sand into the hopper to try to give it some weight, to try to keep that air from coming up, and instead push it through the line. Because there was so much weight now pushing down on top of that airflow going sideways, what I did is I bumped up the air enough so it would try to bubble, and once it started bubbling, I kind of backed it down a little bit because I knew it was then wanting to push upward. So I was about 40-45 psi or so, and so with all the weight of all the sand pushing down and with 45 psi shooting straight into the gun, this thing really woke up. That is what the doctor ordered for this. A lot of sand, a lot of flow, and mind you, this is still not a great gun that I am using, and it has a tip in there that is probably twice as large as what it should be. This is, let me see if I can't get a good angle. That's what's in there, and this is a brand new tip from Harbor Freight. But unfortunately, since this is a speed air gun, these tips will not fit in there. But if I get a different gun that doesn't hiss like that and leak, because if it's leaking right here, it's not, that's that much less air that's pulling vacuum on this. If it is even considered vacuum anymore with air pushing up it. I'm sure someone will let me know in the comments. But regardless, if I get a different gun, I get this to quit leaking, and I get, you know, some nice new tips, you know, with a smaller hole, it's already shooting incredibly well, and I am super pleased with how it's going now. So I really think if I get a different gun and get a brand new tip in there, we're going to be rocking and rolling on this stuff. So to wrap this up, things I learned that matter on these Harbor Freight cabinets. 1, the flow of media matters. 2, the amount of media matters. 3, secondary air in the bottom matters, because I tried just shutting the valve off, and it needs at least a vent. You can't have it just closed. You don't get hardly any suction that way. 4, the gun matters. So that aftermarket gun I have is working really, really good. I think I'm still gonna get a new gun for it, because that one is leaking some air, but it does produce a lot more vacuum than the one that came with that cabinet. And then 5, testing all those variables together matters. So if you have one of these cabinets, certainly, you know, do your homework on it, but I haven't seen anyone else do it this way. It's working really good for me, and super happy. Now I'm actually excited to use the thing because it actually works now. But anyway, the project within the project is done, and now I can actually finish this set of Thayer multi-tools, get them seasoned tonight, and they'll be hopefully shipping out tomorrow. So we're super excited about that. Anyway, there's a lot of these Harbor Freight blast cabinets out there, and there's a lot of people looking for upgrades and trying to get them to work correctly, because right out of the box they do not work super great. So hopefully this helps someone out. Certainly do your research. Maybe I just couldn't get that other design to work, and it does work super well, but I couldn't get it to work. This works for me. I'm pretty happy with it. You know, I can control the amount of air into the bottom, either off the compressor or with the valve. Plenty of media now. If the only thing that's really limiting me is the gun and the air. If I had a better gun and some more air, I could certainly go much quicker, but the media is now no longer the problem. So hopefully someone finds this helpful, and if you guys don't find it helpful, at least hopefully someone will find it entertaining. And if you don't find it entertaining, at least you learned about the Thayer multi-tool and you go buy one. So anyway, see you guys next time.